What's up, everybody? Welcome to this funky little intro and all that good stuff. Welcome to BOT10ART. My name is Lazaro Gomez, and you're tuned in to the Friday night live stream. You're tuned in, finally. Oh my god. I've been waiting like all week. I've been waiting all week just for tonight. I'm so excited. So here we are. If you're new to the live stream, this is what we do every Friday night at 8 p.m. We kind of hang out, chat, we do some projects, and that's what we do on a weekly basis. If you're looking for a safe haven, I guess, or a nice port that you can just kind of hang out, this is your place. We are all like-minded individuals, creatives, artists, writers, bloggers. We do all kinds of different things. So this is a collection of artists. We all kind of take an hour out of our busy lives to come here and hang out every Friday night. So if that's your cup of tea, I hope you stay for a long time. What's up? What's up? Leela has been trying so hard to like be the first one. It's like, I'm here. What's up, Trace? How's it going? Hey, Leanne. But yeah, it's so funny. And I'll give you props. Like, the slate is clean. It's a brand new year. Leela was here like early last live stream, and we got to give her props for that. So yeah, good. That's awesome. But of course, the regulars are here in the chat. The beautiful Queen, aka the Pink Flingo, will be also on the chat, kind of moderating and keeping things in track. Yeah, brand new show, brand new year, and as I promised, you know, this was our goal. If we reached 100 subscribers, and we met that goal, yet I never did the custom pop, and I know that that's something that you guys are interested in, and how I create my custom pops. So I want to kind of go through it all and show you how I do it. And I don't know, just I don't want it to span like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatnot. So I will do some things on the background that will kind of speed things up. But yeah, the great reveal, as you can see right there, that is Cotton Candy Randy, and he's of course a character that I guess Good Mythical Morning or Red and Link made up, and he's really funny, and he says these really like obnoxious things. So I'm a fan of Good Mythical Morning. I love their podcast Ear Biscuits, and as a gift, you know, you could, as a fan, you could send things in to them and stuff like that. So I wanted to send them this pop right here, which will be Cotton Candy Randy. And so I just figured I'd kill two birds with one stone, because I was gonna make this pop anyways, and at the same time I could send it to them and also show you guys how I go through the process. So we're gonna get started with that. We got a lot of cool things coming up for the live stream. I am so glad that you guys are here. You always make it awesome, and I always look forward to doing this for 1 hour. So yes, I am happy. Oh man. Okay, so first things first. I don't know if you guys have ever ordered one of these, but for one, they've gotten a lot more expensive. So let's start there. These things have gotten a lot more expensive. You used to be able to grab these for like $6-7 bucks. Like, it's really weird because the female DIY pop has a different price than the male pop, which I never understood that, because I mean, there's no real difference except in the anatomy. It's basically the same size, same materials and all of that stuff, but I guess Funko knows something that I don't. But yes, the female pop was about $6, and then the male pop was about $8. And I want to say like that was maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, just about like 2 years ago. It was those prices. Now it's like 10 and 12. you know, depending on where you go, you could still get them $9-10 ish range, but still, um, you're gonna pay a nice price for these, and it sucks because, you know, for me, I do custom pops and stuff like that, and pardon me, I tell my my clients that, okay, well, you know, there's a price for the pop and then a price for the commission, and I kind of hate passing that along to them, but at the same time, I need the figure to work on. So yeah, so if you're doing custom pops, just, you know, if you're doing custom pops for somebody else, I should say, then just keep that in mind, that they are getting expensive and they're getting harder to find for some reason. So I know that on the Funko site you can get them. They're like $10 each. And you know, of course, if you get in a jam, there's always eBay, there's always Amazon, and you're gonna pay whatever they're asking for. So just keep in mind that if you need one and you don't find them in the wild, because that's another thing too. You know, if you don't find them in the wild, I would suggest that you go straight to Funko and get the $10 one. But that's another thing that I wanted to talk about with these Funko Pops, is that you used to find them everywhere. They were at Walgreens, they were at Walmart, they were sometimes, if you got lucky, you would find them in Target. Not so much Target, but you could find these out in the wild. And now, like I said, it's getting harder to find them. So I usually, you know, scour eBay, and I keep a male figure and a female figure here at home. And then as the commissions go along, if someone orders a male pop, I immediately order the replacement. Same thing for the female pop, and we keep going from there. So, but I always try to keep one of each here in the studio. So yeah, if you're doing these for yourself, it wouldn't hurt to keep one of each, you know, depending on what you want to do, what character you want to do, and all that good stuff. I have, for my own purposes, I have taken pop figures apart and made molds of the body and made molds of the neck. This part here that attaches to the neck and holds the head in place. And I have made some heads, but not to the extent that they can do it, because basically the way they do the head is through a process called rotocasting. And if you're not familiar with rotocasting, basically they make a mold that spins once they put the resin in, and it allows the manufacturer to make a figure that has all the details that they need, but in the inside is hollow. So that's rotocasting. And for me, I mean, I could make up a rig, but it's way too much trouble for what I want to do. So usually the ones I make are solid, and that doesn't work well. So there you have it. So the first thing, you know, that's one thing that you have to take into consideration, is finding these things, getting them at the right price, and then figuring out how you move forward. So from there, you know, is it a cost that your client is going to take on? Are you going to eat the cost, or whatever the case may be? But this is a gift, as I said, for Rhett and Link and everybody at Good Mythical Morning. And I love the character so much, because he'll say something like really disturbing to Rhett, and then say something like horrible to Link. So he'll come in and, you know, hey daddies, I like when you sleep. Yeah. And then he'll turn to Link and just like, I hate you. And it's a little gag that they do, and it's funny, and I like it. So of course, all of you, you know, deviants that come here on a weekly basis, you know how I am. You know how, like, I love just the whole comedy horror thing, and it's my thing, right? So anyways, so we get a custom pop. I have a commission. Here it is, and I immediately start inspecting it. And as you notice, as I'm talking about the custom pops and stuff like that, I've been twirling this thing around and kind of looking at things, and because in my mind I already have an idea of what I want to do, but at the same time I have to look this thing over because I have actually gotten or received pop figures, and I made a video about this. It's in my channel if you ever want to take a look at that. It's called, I think, Pop First Aid or anything like something like that. Maybe if you could post a link to that video, that'd be great. But anyways, it's how to repair pops, because you never know. You never know what people are selling on eBay. The one that I got, I'm suspecting that somebody tried to do a custom figure, failed at making it, and then just put it back in the box and sold it on eBay, and I bought it. But of course, and they didn't say anything. But for me, it doesn't matter. I got the pop, I brought it home, and I fixed it. But as you can tell, I've been looking at this figure because there's a few things that are going on with the figure, and it's different for every single one that you get. So sometimes the head is tilted, the head is tilted different from the body, and I'm trying to demonstrate that. But anyways, you'll have the head like leaning towards one direction, either that one or that one, that way, or forward, like it'll be looking down. And it's all in the way that they attach the head to this little piece right here, this round piece right here. And that's something that I'm looking at. Sometimes they do it right and it's nice and flush. Sometimes it's sticking out in the front and indented or pushed down in the back. So I get these pops and they're in all kinds of different conditions. Another thing that I look at is the actual paint job. So these, if I was to take some, something abrasive, sandpaper or something like that, I could actually remove the I guess the stock finish or the primed paint that's on these figures and get down to the bare plastic. But I don't do that because I do like the texture of the paint that they put on it. It gives it a texture where the paint can grab a lot better. Thank you. And so, I like to keep that. I like to make sure that I keep that paint. However, it's the great enemy of all artists. There are some pop figures that do come with drips. Oh my god, drips. I hate them. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically where the figure was standing on some kind of platform or something, and they paint it, and as they paint it, it gets the paint gets real heavy and it starts drooping down. So you can't really tell on this pop figure, but right there is a big old drip, and there's another drip along here like this, where the paint just basically like it fell down, because of course gravity is affecting it, pushing down on the surface. And that's one thing that I absolutely hate. So the remedy for that is real simple. I have different types of sandpaper, and I have everything from 500, which is a real rough textured sandpaper, to about 1,000. And if I look hard enough, I can get 1,200. But 1,200, of course, being the most finest sandpaper, it almost feels like shark skin. So what I do is I sand down these little drips, right? I sand down the drips and kind of get it to where it's smooth again. If I go down to the plastic, I have white primer paint by KRYLON. It's a matte KRYLON, and I'll use that to kind of cover up whatever surface is exposed. So that's the one thing you got to look for. You got to look for deformities within the figure. You need to look for drips and those kinds of things. And that's part of the reason why I never rush my pop commissions. So people are always like, how long is it going to take? I want this by this date or that date, and oh, what, it's going to take that long? Well, number one, there's a lot of people waiting for custom pops, and number two, I really do take my time. Like, if you hire me to do a custom pop, I go through this like every single pop, and my beautiful queen will tell you that I struggle with these because I'm looking at all these different things, and I want someone who hires me to do a pop to get the absolute best pop, and there's a whole process. Even when you paint them, that paint has to cure, and then once that paint is cured, I do like a cover on it, like a matte clear coat, and then that has to cure, and this and that, whatever. So a pop will sit here in my studio for about a week, 2 weeks, just drying, just drying before I package it and stuff like that. Sometimes I get rush jobs and they want them right away, and of course it's never a good thing to rush it. So if you are watching and you like my custom pops, or you like someone else's custom pops, just keep in mind that there's a whole process that goes into it. And yeah, whatever time they tell you, like, adhere to it. Like, if it's 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks. If it's a month, it's a month, whatever it is. But I don't know how much care and how much care that goes into their pops. But for me, I'm already looking at the figure, and I could tell you that there's a lot of things that I don't like. So the other thing that you'll find is right in here, you'll have some excess of glue, and I don't know if they use a glue gun or some kind of epoxy glue for this, but if you ever wanted to remove the head, I could tell you that you're gonna have to boil it until that adhesive gets real soft, and then little by little start turning the figure, and eventually you'll take the head off the pop. I've done that in the past. Another thing I do is, if I do take off the head, I'm very careful about putting it back in, because if you put clay in this area, which I do, and I'll show you that in a minute, that clay is going to deform. If you put it in the oven and you bake it, it's going to get hard, and once you put the body back on the head, it's going to start to here, I'll do this. It's going to start I'm trying to figure out what camera to use. Do I use this one or that one? But what happens is, there's a little post that goes in the middle, and that'll start deforming this way, and that circle, that round circle, is going to start caving in, and so you're going to have to, of course, add more clay and bake it again. So that there's a lot of things that go along with it that I've learned that I stray away from, right? So it's kind of unique to see those sort of things. But yeah, going back to this, there's a glue right here, and you have to be very cautious about what that is. So sometimes you could sand it off, but I like to use my torture tools here. Does anybody need a tooth to come out? I'm not a dentist, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn once. Old ass joke. Okay, so what I do is I go through here and kind of using these kinds of tools right here. When I first started doing custom toys and making prototype toys and stuff like that, I got this wooden art set. Actually, this was the set right here. So you can go to Michael's, you can get this set right here, and I think it's like $12 or something like that, $10, I don't know, something. Hey, what's up? How's it going, man? Good to see you. It's all good. So anyways, I started with this set right here. I'm glad you came either way. I started with this set here, and it wasn't enough. So these I got at Michael's. I still keep them around because I use them for certain things, but I went to Harbor Freight and they had this set for like $5. So these are my primary tools when it comes to sculpting and stuff like that, making custom pops. And later on, you're gonna see me working with those tools when it comes to doing his beard and all the little details that go along with this pop. But yeah, I have these two that have a relatively thin edge. And what I'll do is I'll kind of pop the glue out as much as I can, and then use my X-Acto knife to trim that off. just like that. It's funny because I still have pieces of other pops here. It's on the blade. So once you got that out of the way, there's no glue sticking out. If you have to kind of dig into it with the X-Acto, always make sure you're cutting away from yourself. Like, don't cut this way, cut out. Little safety right there. I should put on my safety glasses. We'll be alright. So then once that's done, I'll get a little bit of sandpaper and kind of sand that down, and then we could start doing clay on this. You know, you can start adding clay and stuff like that. But before we do, we're going into that segment of the live stream. Let's play a little strange but true. Oh, actually, no, let's take that back. Before we get into strange but true, and we'll kind of do it back to back, I do want to talk a little bit about my friend JW Fearman. My friend Jeremy, you guys know him as JW Fearman. He has a really cool show. I don't want to say like channel or podcast or whatever. It's a show, you know. But it's called Dreaded Dominions, and it's really neat because he is a lot like me. He likes to mix horror with comedy, and it's a really cool thing. But recently, this week, he actually started, he changed the format of the show from the YouTube channel that he has to a podcast. So of course, I reached out to my buddy and say, hey man, you know what? I'm going to shout you out in the live stream. It'd be great if you can post your links in the chat and all that good stuff. He did tell me that he is taking his daughter to dance class. And of course, I have 2 daughters of my own. I can relate. I understand there's, you know, things daddy has to do. But if he pops in, great. If he doesn't make it, I just want to make sure that I put this out there for him. So yeah, go check it out, Dreaded Dominions. I'm pretty sure it's everywhere where you could hear a podcast except iTunes, because he's still working that out. But I heard his first episode and it's really, really funny. I highly suggest that you follow him and give him some love, and if you like it, great. You know, it might be something new and improved that you will like. Improved because, you know, it works better as a podcast, I think. But anyways, are you guys ready? Let's play a little strange but true. So this is the segment in the podcast where I tell you a strange but true story, just for the heck of it. It's a new segment that I added to the live stream, the first show I did, and I thought it was pretty cool, so we're gonna keep it going. Here we go. Here's your strange but true story for this week. Alright, Donkey Kong got his name because his creator believed donkey meant stupid in English and wanted to convey the impression that the character was a stupid ape. There you have it. There is your strange but true story for the week. Hope you enjoyed that. And now back to the live stream. You gotta have a little bit of fun, you know, break it up a little. Hi, RJ. My biffle RJ has joined the live stream. He can't stay long though. So yeah, going back to the glue, you just kind of want to make your way around this thing and get as much of that crap out of there as possible, because that'll later on affect what we're gonna do next. So I try to clean that up as much as I can. Yeah, now we can go on to a little bit of modeling. So there's 2 things you could use. You could use SCULPEY Original, which is the white one, or SCULPEY 2, which is this one. I've used both, and they both have different purposes, right? So SCULPEY 2 tends to be a lot more malleable, so it tends to run away on you. And what I mean by that is, you know, you can basically put a piece of clay here and that clay would like make its way around because it's so malleable. This one, as you can see, it's a lot harder, a lot more rigid. But if you warm it up with your hands, of course, if you warm it up with your hands, it'll start giving way, but not as much as SCULPEY Original. And I like this one just because of that. It tends to work better, I think. There you go. It's neat. Thank you. So yeah, what I do is um, I buy, I buy the way it comes, and I showed it in other videos, but it's like a block of clay, and it's like these little strips. So I get those strips and I break it apart and I put little tiny pieces in a bag, and that's what you see here. But then you could take out as many as you need and start kneading. And then that way you could begin your first step for your custom pop. This does have a bake time, and all the instructions are on the actual box. So if you do decide to get some SCULPEY is what, $12-15, I think. I don't know, but I get mine at Michael's. You could use the 40% coupon. It's like they always have that coupon. No matter what, they always have the coupon. And if you forget it, like I have the app, so I go in the store and and I have it. Sometimes I don't get a good signal, so by the time I get to the register, like usually as I'm walking in, I'm like uploading, or not uploading, but I'm loading up the app to get the 40% discount or whatnot. Sometimes I forget because I see something and I'm like, ooh, that's cool, and I forget. And by the time we get to the register, it's like, oh, there's no signal. So depending on who you get or whatnot, they will give you the coupon for you, or they'll have the coupon at the register for you. So I use that for all of my materials. Alright, so this is pretty much well needed. I try to get air out of it and all of that good stuff. And you could pretty much mold it with your hands. So the first thing I do when it comes to the pop is I seal this little ring around where the neck attaches to the head, because for me, I don't like to see that seal, or I shouldn't say seal. I don't like to see, like, I don't know, it's kind of bright right now, but you can see the line, right? You can see the line around the neck. I don't like to see that. I like it when someone grabs the pop and looks at it, it's like it's seamless there. It's like the whole head is attached to the neck rather than a piece holding the head together. So I like to cover that up. And what I do is I get small pieces of clay just like this, and then I'll put it on that ridge and kind of run my finger across it, and I'll use an outward motion on it. That way it stays flush with the head. And then once that's done, then I can go ahead and bake it. I can bake the figure and you won't tell. So usually the recommended baking time can vary, and it all depends on your oven. So some people have real powerful ovens, some people have older ones. For me, I have a pretty decent one. It's old, but it's decent. It puts out great heat and all that good stuff. It bakes really nice. So I usually let my pops go in for about 16 minutes. And when they come out, it's funny because they're like jello. The pops come out like real flimsy and wobbly. It's like jello. But the cool thing is that you could use that time to shape and mold and do whatever you need to do. And that's usually the time where I fix the imperfections that I mentioned before. Like sometimes the head will be leaning to one side more than the other. So when the pop is actually real flimsy and soft, I'll put like a piece of cardboard. I'll put a piece of cardboard there to kind of balance the neck, and then it'll be fine. It'll be just fine. Once it cools down, it'll be nice and straight because you wedged it with something. So they're relatively forgiving when it comes to that. But that's usually the time where I'll make those corrections. So right now, as you can see, I'm trying to get this as flat as possible. And then I will show you the secret. The BOT10 art secret. When it comes to making pops. I don't know if a lot of people use this, and it may not be like this aha type thing, but for me it is. And when I discovered it, I was like, aha, that's how they do it. So the cool thing about this clay is you could use water to smooth things out, but I will show you what I use in just a minute. Actually, I should go get it right now because I thought I had it here. I'll be right back. Right back. I am back. The secret ingredient is cotton. No, I'm just kidding. Alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So this is 50% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. It's green. It doesn't really, with wintergreen, it doesn't matter. I just grabbed the cheapest alcohol they had. But you could use the clear one. You could use the green one. It doesn't matter. But alcohol, that is the trick. So what I do is whenever I want to smooth something out when it comes to this SCULPEY clay, and I shouldn't have given you my secret. Dang you, live stream. It's alright. This has been a long time coming. I promised you guys that I would show you all my tips and tricks. So what I do is I'll lay the clay down just like this and work my way around. And it was funny because the other day I got on Instagram and I was like, look, man, I need something to kind of help me out, some kind of music or something in the background, because yeah, I was doing this kind of work. And so you don't want to ever rush these sort of things. Yeah, you never want to rush this sort of stuff. So what I do is, as you can see, there's a nice hefty amount of clay around the neck area, and then you just kind of flatten it out, smooth it out, do what you can, and always work outwards. So these tools make it like really easy to do that, and they'll start smoothing everything out. Everything later on you could sand down, but as you get closer to the neck, you want to make sure that that is smooth because it is hard to get under there. There we go. There's a little excess there. And that is how you hide that seam line. How Adam Savage says, we're hiding the crimes. It's really funny because I do love to watch Tested, and he always talks about stuff like that. So yeah, Adam, look, I'm hiding the crimes. There we are. And you just keep, you keep turning the body, you keep doing all of this stuff until it's nice and covered and you have a nice smooth area. It's going to take a little bit of practice, and if you mess up, it's no big deal because you could always add some more. But the idea is to make sure that that hole is covered up, as best as possible. Jeremy, you made it. Hey, what's up, brother? I just talked about the podcast right now. So yeah, go ahead. I know you're out and about, but if you have the ability to do so, throw a link in the chat. I'll also put the link to all of your stuff in the description of my video. That way everybody can check it out. But yeah, I know you're busy. You're doing the daddy thing. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Of course, everybody here sends lots and lots of love your way. And yeah, I loved the first episode. It was funny. I love it. I've been really into podcasts. I want to say for the last like 3 years, 3-4 years. I got my favorites. So of course, I added dreaded dominions to that. All right, so there you have it. We have a nice, we have a nice amount of clay there. Actually, I want to cover this up here. So I don't know if you can see that, but right in there, there's like a little indentation. What's up? What's up? So I want to cover that little part up, make that as smooth as possible. Yep, it's how we do it here. If anybody has anything new, by all means, post it up. Okay, so right now, I could tell that by moving the body around, it's kind of affecting the clay a little bit. So what that means is that there's a nice build up here, and I have to use the alcohol to smooth it out. So we're gonna do that. Rubbing alcohol. Now comes the tricky part. So I have this one. And that's what I use to smooth all that out. Why use the alcohol and not the water? Because the water, whenever I used it, I noticed that it beads up. It beads up, and yeah, you could smooth it out. It'll still work the same, but the alcohol doesn't have that effect. And I tend to like it a little bit better. I know it's kind of weird, but it's what I use. Yeah, I think it has something to do with the clay. And I know I kind of gave like a weird explanation about that, but what I love about the clay and the alcohol is that it reacts to it. So I don't want to say it's melting the clay, but it is reacting to it where it's making it like real smooth. And that's why I use the alcohol instead of the water. And this doesn't have to be perfect, this is just like smoothing out. We're smoothing out because once I bake this, it's going to get sanded anyway. So this is just like a smoothing technique. You know what I mean? We're just like, because the clay, as you lay it down, it tends to have like these ridges and imperfections in the clay, because of course you're using your hands and you're not going to get it like super perfect and super flat, or you're just not going to do that. So the alcohol, it's weird. I know I'm doing a horrible explanation, but basically when I'm putting the alcohol onto the actual clay, the clay shines, and I have my lights overhead, and then what that does is it creates a shadow on the low parts and a reflection on the high, right? So you have like a highlight, and then whenever I see a highlight like that, I smooth it down. So it does not do that with water. I don't know why. It just doesn't. So it could be just, my favorite material to work with, I guess. I don't know. That could be possible too. But I've just always, like, for some strange reason, I started using the alcohol, and it was like, oh, look at that. It smoothed it right out. So I don't know if it's some kind of chemical reaction that the alcohol has with the clay. If someone wants to look that up, that'd be kind of cool. That way I learn it too. So yeah, as I'm smoothing out, see, like this particular area right here, there's a little bit of a dip. Whoop. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just using the alcohol to kind of smooth all that out. And usually this process right here will take me, it'll take me a little while. I would say just about the same as the live stream, about an hour or so. And this area here that has that little indentation, as you can see, there's like clay all through here, but then there's like a little white patch right there. That's the actual head there. So once this is baked, I'll come back and add more and do the whole thing again and then sand it all. So there you go. Ah, there you go. It's polymer clay. See, I knew somebody would know. There you have it. Thank you. It's pretty bad when the teacher don't know, right? Hey, look, I'm just saying that's what I do. Thank you, sir. Yeah, because it's polymer clay. I didn't think about that. So anyways, there you have it. I just keep doing that until I'm satisfied with the smoothness of it, and then it would go in the oven. But I'm not gonna do that, of course, because we're on the live stream. Because if not, we'll be like wasting 15 minutes doing nothing, staring at each other. How would that work out? So there you go. Learn something every day. Okay, so then usually at this point, once I'm pretty satisfied with what I have, I can move on to the other thing that I do with these pops. Alright, that's good. Sweet. Nice and smooth. Smooth jazz, daddy-o. Now the next thing that I look at is the seam line where the mold came together. So the head is rotocasted, the body is basically like sandwiched together, and what it does is down the body it has a little line. And what I like to do, remember those modeling tools that I got from Michael's? So what I do is I try to smooth the mold line down. And this is this particular tool right here is used to excavate or to remove material, and it's got a bit of a sharp edge. Nothing too major, like you're not gonna cut yourself, but I guess you can if you're not careful. And what I do is I remove that mold line from the hands, from the feet, and the legs. And that's just to get rid of like the raised part, because it's kind of like a little ridge. I'm trying to, here we go. So basically what you have is that seam line is like a little ridge. I don't know if you can see that or not, but yeah, it's kind of like a raised little ridge. And what I'm doing with the tool is just kind of removing that right there. So do that again. So yeah, the seam line is like that, and then with this tool I'm removing this part to kind of make it smooth against the skin. So here I already rubbed that part off, but I can still feel a little bit. So I'll go back with the tool and kind of clean it up, and then use the sandpaper to smooth it all out. Yeah, see this side, I could feel the difference right in the hand. So I'll, work that through and kind of get rid of the raised surface. And then once I got rid of that, I come back and sand it. The reason why I do that is because once you do the paint job, you still see the ridge line. You still see that line. And it kind of looks weird if you're doing like a pop, if if you're putting clay on the arms and you know the rest of the body and stuff like that to where you'll hide that, it's okay. But this particular pop, this character, you can see right there, he wears a white t-shirt. So I don't want a seam to be going down the body. And this is completely up to you. You can do what you like. You know, you could basically do what you like. It's up to you. It's just a little extra step that I take. It doesn't take very long. But I like to, you know, I like to make sure that it's as neat as possible or as clean as possible. For the pants, I'm not really too worried about it because he wears like these jeans. And I thought about doing his signature stand. So the way he stands is he holds his he holds his shirt and his pants the entire time. So I was thinking of doing his hands that way, and then cutting the feet to where they're, you know, to where he's standing a little bit better. Because right now, you know, they're kind of like that, and it would be better if he was like this and he was holding his pants right there. So I was thinking about that and kind of debating about it, but at the same time, if I did that, then he wouldn't fit back in the box the way I want him to go, because I want them to kind of display him still in the box and give them the option to remove it if that's what they want to do. So we're gonna keep him in this hero action pose, I guess. And they could choose what they want to do with it from there. So, but yeah, there we go. I'll go through this little process right here where I just remove that raised line, smooth it all out with sandpaper, and you won't even tell. So that line goes from the neck all down the hand, around the backside, down this part here, down his leg, and down to the shoe. So that's what I remove using this little tool. For the sandpaper, at this point, I don't want to use anything too abrasive. If you use something like a 500 or lower, you're gonna start damaging the toy or damaging the figure. So I use something relatively, you know, high, like 1,000 or something, because I'm looking to smooth it out. I'm not, probably like an 800, I guess. I'm looking to smooth it out. I'm not looking at, you know, make changes to the actual figure itself. So along the bottom, where the feet are, there's sometimes a mold line there, which I'm removing right now. So then that is smoothed out. I never seen what kind of shoes he wears. I'm assuming he's wearing some kind of like super cool Converse, which that's probably what I'll do. But this little line has to go. It has to go. There we have it. I haven't said high levels of concentration yet. High levels of concentration. He's over 9,000. I'm always cautious about what I say on the live stream, right? Because you don't want to hear me say for about an hour. So I think about, you know, those sort of things and what I'm saying. So I don't want to say all day long. Alright, cool. So there we have it. That gets rid of a good bit of that. I'm happy so far with what I have. I'm going to later on sand down those drips, put this in the oven, and go from there. Nope, I don't have any pieces of sandpaper. So just, you know, very carefully, slowly make your way. Don't rush it, because I've noticed that's the one thing too. I've noticed that when you're doing pops, you can't rush them. You know, don't rush them. Take your time. It's like it's a really neat thing to do, because ever since these DIYs came out, I was like, man, you know, there's so much you can do with these things, and it's so cool. And you know, what if I did this, and what if I did that? And of course, at the same time, Funko was basically putting out a figure for every single franchise. You know, they had a license for everything. So, you know, by the time I came up with the idea, they already you know, brought out that figure, because I was like, oh, cool, a DIY figure, man, it'd be so awesome if I made the Punisher, or just buy the Punisher pop. uh, so I don't know what their intentions were when they first came out, but I'm glad they're still around, and I'm glad that, you know, I'm not the only one that's making custom pops. You know, you guys can make custom pops. Anybody, everyone. If you wanted to just kind of grab a few of these and experiment and mess around with, that'd be great, you know. And it's neat. You could pretty much do whatever you want. So, you know, when they first came out, I thought, oh man, this will be perfect if I could do every member of my family. And that's how I started making pops. You know, I made one of my wife, I made one for each of the kids, and I gave it to them, and oh my god, you know, and they freaked out, and oh, it's a pop, it's me, you know. And that's kind of what triggered it all. And then, you know, of course, I posted online and somebody sees it, and oh, can you do one for me? Yeah, sure, why not? You know, and at the time I didn't really think about what that looked like, or you know, what that was going to become. And then as I did these pops, I started noticing all of these different little things, and it's like, you know what, I could have done that better. Hey, what's taking so long? I'm working on your pop. And really what I did is, the first pop that I was commissioned to do, I did one of them over because I wasn't happy with the result. And that basically, that's where all of this came from. You know, all of these little details. And I noticed that one wasn't, you know, one was kind of leaning to the side, the other one was leaning forward, and I didn't like that. And then I tried to figure out a way to correct all of that. And so now this is the process. This is what I do when I start a pop commission. I have to get it ready to be a pop. Which, I don't know, maybe somebody will say that I'm wasting time, or doing all of this for nothing. I mean, it's a real tiny 3-inch figure, or it's like 3.5-inch figure. But I like to think that, you know, I like to think that if it leaves here, I've done everything I needed to do to make it awesome. Like, I want the person to be happy, be like, oh man, this is so cool, you know, and kind of go from there. Another thing, the drip, I'm taking care of the drip on the face. I don't know if you could see that. It's kind of bright, but right there on the face, that drip I described, I kind of scraped it off a little bit with this thing. You could do that and then smooth it out with sandpaper. If it goes in the oven like this, it's okay. It's not gonna affect it in any way. I'm just getting rid of that drip. So I don't know. Alright, that's good. It just looks weird. It looks like the face is melting off. And I hate that. Oh, we're running out of time. Oh my gosh. Alright, so there you have it. That's the first step of making a custom pop. So if you're interested in doing your own, you gotta kind of go through this whole process to make it look really, really awesome. This is gonna go in the oven. Once it's out, I'm gonna start sanding the clay areas and start adding all the details for Cotton Candy Randy. That's how you do it. So for now, we're gonna get into the last segment of the live stream. It's a little thing that I created. It's called Brain Tickle. Brain Tickle is a small section that I added to the live stream. It's basically our weekly trivia. So one question, one answer, and this is the way it works. I give you the question, you leave me an answer in the form of a comment. Last week's brain tickle was, let's see, it was, how can you smell if you don't have a nose? Well, the answer to that is not shower. You can still smell without a nose if you do not shower. So that was the answer for last week's. Here's your question for this week. Leave it. Leave the answer. Don't leave it in the chat. Leave it in the comment section. All right, here we go. Tanzania is an isolated island state belonging to which country? That is your trivia question for the week. I'll give you the answer to it next week. But yeah, that's it. Tanzania is an isolated island state belonging to which country? If you know the answer, leave a comment on this video. On this video. All right, cool. So from here on out, I'm gonna kind of advance it a little bit. Oop, I gotta turn this off, don't I? I'm gonna do some modeling with the clay and stuff like that, but I won't model all the way so that you guys can kind of see the whole process of me modeling and using these tools to kind of shape the clay, and then I'll paint it and we'll do a final reveal. So yeah, we'll probably do 3 shows of the custom pop, but I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're new here and you like what you see, then by all means join the art family, become a deviant. And of course, like, comment, subscribe. I want to welcome all the new subscribers to the channel, and we will see you all next week at the same day, same time for the Friday night live stream. We're gonna keep doing this thing and then send it off to Red and Link and the mythical crew. If you want some more of what I do, make sure to check out Noodle Doodle. It is my Sunday morning podcast. It's a little bit more laid back, you know, we're not really thinking about much, but I do tell funny stories about my growing up. So if you want to check that out, it's here on YouTube, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Noodle Doodle podcast. All right, guys, that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for watching. Destroy that like button. That'd be awesome for me. It helps me out. And I'm gonna go have dinner with the family and enjoy it because I'm hungry. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Friday, 8 p.m. for the Friday night live stream. Adios, everybody. Goodbye. We'll see ya. We'll see ya. Oh, and don't forget, check out Jeremy's stuff. It's really cool. Dreaded Dominion. Yeah. We'll see you next week, everybody. Love y'all. Bye.